Once upon a time, our family had trouble with pests around our home. Did you know that stinging insects send tons of people to the hospital? And teeny ticks and mosquitoes can be all around the yard. Their bites can make people and their pets sick. Mice, rats, and roaches need food and water just like us. You do not want them to visit. They can spread disease and make it hard to breathe. I'm sure glad this story has a happy ending.
Learn how to protect your family at pestworld.org. A public service message from the National Pest Management Association.
When students struggle because they are hungry
or fall behind because they lack school supplies,
a caring adult can make all the difference.
Especially someone from the community.
Someone who knows the students.
And the obstacles they might be facing.
At Communities in Schools, our site coordinators surround students with a community of support.
To ensure that they have everything they need to engage in learning.
We go all in for kids. All day, every day.
To learn more, visit communitiesinschools.org.
Want the best tailgate in town? Cater for a large group or feed your team? The 12th Avenue Chick-fil-A in Norman can meet all of your needs. Sandwich trays, nugget trays, and drinks by the gallon, we do it all. Our catering orders include all your essentials to serve your winning team, and it's backed by popular demand, the honey pepper pimento sandwich, and be sure to try the new banana pudding milkshake. Call the 12th Avenue Chick-fil-A in Norman at 405-310-3189 or visit us on the app.
Hi, I'm Ashton and I'm with the nonprofit Fostering Futures. Every day, children are removed from their homes due to abuse and neglect. In these critical moments, we step in to support these vulnerable kids. We work alongside child welfare workers to meet the essential needs of safety, stability, and healthy connections, as well as providing enrichment opportunities. But we can't do this important work without your support. Consider donating at fosteringfuturesok.org. Together, we can offer children a brighter future.
The Ref Radio Sports Network is powered statewide by the insurance adjusters at Brown O'Haver. Fire, wind, theft, or tornado, we can help. Call 405-735-5510. Live from the Buffalo Wild Wings Studios, it's time to get locked in to the best Sooner recruiting and football news with Tyler McComas and Parker Thune.
You better lock it up. You better lock it up. No, you lock it up. You lock it up. Lock it up.
Hit the guys up on the Riverwind Casino call-in line at 405-329-9000. Text the show on the Knippelmeyer Chevrolet text line at 405-651-3439.
Do it! Just do it!
Now, with Locked In, here's Tyler McComas and Parker Thune.
Say it with me. M-I-D-Z-O-U. Mizzou, baby. Bunch of freaking frauds and whoever thought, yes, in front of everyone in the country. Well, this is a prove-it game for Missouri. Let's see if they're playoff worthy. Let's see it through that squad. And they get their pants pulled down at Texas freaking A&M in front of the entire country. God, what a Saturday that was. Did anyone else love that? And hey, I got your tweets this weekend. Don't worry. A&M McComas saying all these other things about how I love A&M. Now, I do not love A&M. That was just for a 3.5-hour period. What I loved was Eli Drinkowitz in Mizzou just getting absolutely destroyed. And the entire country, Parker, the entire country calling them a bunch of frauds on Saturday afternoon and Saturday evening. If you couldn't tell that I had a great weekend, buddy, I had a very fantastic weekend. I love this sport. It's so great.
Was that the best part of your weekend?
Yeah.
All in all?
I mean, it got pretty awesome the rest of the day, right? With all of the other things that happened. Vandy beating Alabama, Tennessee going down, Oklahoma State getting destroyed. But there's just something about Mizzou getting embarrassed, man. It was over in like the second quarter, man. You were texting me early in the second quarter about that game.
It was 17-0, and you just already knew, right? Like that hole's not getting any shallower.
Ugh, just absolutely embarrassed. They didn't lose. They got absolutely embarrassed by Texas A&M on a national stage. And then, I think everyone sees Missouri for what they are right now, a fraudulent football program. It was sweet.
Cherokee Sooner on the text line says, that was the best Saturday I've had in a while. Watching Mizzou, OSU, and USC all go down in flames was the reset I needed.
Really was. I mean, we've had a lot of stressful weekends. I mean, every single Saturday thus far has been a stressful weekend outside of the Temple game in week 1. So just to have a weekend where you got to sit back, relax, and essentially watch everyone else lose was just what we needed. What did we say all last week? Man, this team really needs a bye week in the worst way. This team really needs a bye week for sure. Well, I think the fans needed a bye week as well, and that was the perfect reset as now we get into Texas Sucks Week or Texas Hate Week, whatever you want to call it. I say every week is that, but it's OU Texas Week. Let's go. So that was a nice reset, Cherokee Sooner. I enjoyed that very much.
Drew from Flower Mound says, Aggie Tyler, I know you were happy Saturday. Let me guess. You took a nap in your A&M blanket after the game.
Yeah, Eli Drinkowitz, he delivered that one just like he did the other blankets. How about that from Mike Elko? Saying that because you heard about the story before the game. In case you haven't, I guess Theo Weiss showed up at the team hotel, and there was an A&M blanket there. And one of A&M's defensive backs, his nickname is Blanket. I did not know that before Saturday morning. And so it was thought that, this A&M defensive back sent an A&M blanket to Theo Weiss, not Luther Burden, Theo Weiss of all players, to let him know what was about to happen. And Mike Elko, after the game, A&M head coach said, we think that came from the other side. We think that came from Eli Drinkowitz, which is a fascinating turn of events there for sure. But no, I did not have an A&M blanket in my general vicinity, though.
Sooner Bump on the text line says, boys, I was an Aggie for 3 hours, a Commodore for 3 hours, and a Golden Gopher for 3 hours. It was glorious. Suck it, drink.
What was your favorite outcome of the entire day? I think it's pretty obvious.
I thought it was hilarious. I thought it was hilarious the way that USC lost. Because Minnesota's ruled short on 4th and goal with like 40 seconds left in the game. They're ruled short on a QB sneak on 4th and goal. They take another look at it, and upon replay view, I don't know what they saw, Tyler. I don't know what they could have seen to overturn that call. I did not expect that call was going to get overturned, but somehow that call got overturned, and Muleshoe goes down in Minneapolis.
Isn't it funny, though, every time he loses a game, and sometimes when he doesn't lose a game, but definitely every time he loses a game, there is media drama that shortly follows him after in the post-game press conference.
He's got to take his anger out on somebody.
Don't ask a player about the game-deciding play of the game. Let's be a little bit more professional than that. Don't ask. No, that was definitely let me answer that one for Chris vibes. Is what that felt like. That was that's quite the look there for old Lincoln.
It is kind of gratifying to watch the rest of the nation gradually grow more and more fed up with all of his antics, and to realize, those rednecks in Oklahoma, they were not far off in their assessment of who Lincoln Riley is.
The Streaks has been waiting for this hour since 2:45 on Saturday to listen to Slam the Mizzou Possums that play dead at home and get killed on the road. The Trolls can't fire back today. It was great. It was a great Saturday. The Waffler says, dang, is Tyler more excited about Mizzou losing or A&M winning? Mizzou losing, pal. That did a lot for me personally. What a bye week that was.
Sooner Warrior said, is Muleshoe on the hot seat? No, he's not even close. They owe him too much money. They can't fire him.
No, not after.
Not anytime soon.
Not after this year.
They made their bed.
It is OU Texas Week, sponsored on the ref by Boyd Street Ventures. Boyd Street Ventures Fund has investments in 16 Oklahoma-connected companies. To learn about investing in BSV's fund, visit BoydStreetVentures.com. So I want to ask about Jonathan Hatton. There's apparently a fascinating situation going on with Jaden O'Neal's current high school season, which we'll get into. We've got players entering the transfer portal already or declaring that they are. There's a lot going on out there in recruiting, but come on, story number one, it's OU Texas Week. And as I ask you this, I'm asking the Knippelmeyer Chevrolet text line as well. But what is everyone's Monday feel on this one as Texas enters this game as the number one team in the country for the first time since 1984? How's everyone feeling on a Monday?
I feel cautiously optimistic.
Woo, really?
I do. I mean, there's a lot of rat poison out there right now.
2 weeks of it.
Oklahoma is not subject to any of it. Texas is. Number one team in the country. favored by more points than anybody has been in the Red River Showdown in how many years, Tyler?
I mean, OU was starting Braden Willis / Davis Bevel at quarterback a couple of years ago, and they weren't this big of an underdog.
No, the line was like, I think Texas was like a 3-point favorite going into that game, which I don't know how. It should have been much steeper, but I think a lot of that was due to the uncertainty over whether Dylan Gabriel was actually going to be available. And, by the way, I don't know how much this is going to be possible with the SEC and its availability report regulations, if you will. But keep in mind what Brent Venables did with Dylan Gabriel back in 2022. Dylan Gabriel went through warm-ups. He dressed out. He did not play the game at all. And he was never going to play the game. But he went through warm-ups. He dressed out. He put the pads on, put the helmet on, went through a full warm-up routine, all of that, only to take everything back off and go spend the day in the coach's booth with Jeff Levy. My point, Tyler, is that regardless of whether or not a guy like Deion Burks is actually going to be available on Saturday, I fully believe that Brent Venables is going to try to give every indication that a guy like Deion Burks is going to be available.
Sure, why
on
not?
Saturday.
Why not? Use everything you can.
Gamesmanship.
You know? But you're right. How do you – I mean, other than putting Deion Burks down as questionable the entire week, like how do you really – like do you have Deion Burks out there during warm-ups? Well, Deion Burks, he didn't even travel to the game against Auburn, right? I have no idea if he would travel or not to Dallas, but – You use everything that you can. We'll see what he says tonight. We'll see what he says tomorrow at the press conference. But, man, Deion Burks, just him out there playing would be – it would give you a true, legit number one wide receiver option out there. Because if Deion Burks isn't available, and if I'm guessing right now, I would probably lean towards no. I don't know who your number one target in the passing game is on Saturday. Maybe that's Bauer Sharp. Maybe J.J. Hester's really about to step up and do some big things. But – I think that's a pretty big question mark right now.
What if it was a former Longhorn?
He should have had a touchdown against Auburn. If the ball's there, that's 6 points.
How cool would it be if Brandon Thompson were to just pop off
against
Texas?
I'd laugh. I'd laugh very, very hard. That'd be great. So you're cautiously optimistic then. All right, I can join you there on a Monday. I bet our reasons are the same. But let me hear it from you first. What's the biggest reason why you're cautiously optimistic about OU's chances on Saturday?
Well, for one thing, Texas has not faced an opponent as talented as Oklahoma. Injuries or no injuries, this is still the best team that Texas will have faced to this point in the season. What's also got me optimistic, Tyler, is that Texas has 6 quarters of film to go off with Michael Hawkins. 6 quarters of film that I think does not feature near the offensive nuance that we will see from Oklahoma on Saturday. And so Michael Hawkins and that OU offense, they'll be able to game plan much more effectively to exploit Texas's weaknesses defensively than Texas's defense will be able to game plan for everything that Michael Hawkins brings to the table because there's just not that much to study right now.
I think why I'm cautiously optimistic on a Monday or, even going to present a reason as to why OU can win this game for me is, well, what's the better side of the football for this team? I think it's rather obvious. It's the defense. Now, the defense is going to have another special performance. They're going to have to tackle a lot better than they did against Auburn. But can this defensive line get after Quinn Ewers? And can this front seven stop the run against Texas? I think that they can hold Texas' run game in check. I mean, they're going to have to, right? But, where my hopes lie kind of going into this game early week is, man, they've got to stop the run. They've got to put Texas in some tough third downs. And if they can do that, I think that you'll take your chances there. Because corner play hasn't been exceptional, or at least it wasn't the last time you played against Auburn. I do think that we're going to see a lot more Eli Bowen. So Texas will hit on some big plays. I mean, that's just going to happen, I think. But if our Mason Thomas is a dude on Saturday, if you can slow down their run game and put Quinn Ewers in some tough third and long situations, I think they're going to play well enough defensively to give the offense chances. That's where I'm at, Parker. I think the defense, early and often, won't shut out Texas, but they'll play well enough to put the offense in some chances for this to be a really good game late. To me, this game kind of rides on, man, can the offense take advantage of the situations that they're given? And I'm not talking about getting 3 points. I'm talking about coming away with touchdowns. Don't have a 1st and goal at the 2-yard line like you did at Jordan-Hare and only come away with 3 points, right? Like, you get those opportunities, you have to score. So if the offense can just do that, take advantage of the situations they're given, I think we can be talking about a really, really tight football game late in the 4th quarter. But the offense is going to have to do their part, man. They're going to be given opportunities. They've got to cash in, man. They've got to. It's got to be the best game that they've played all year long.
Philly special. Michael Hawkins catches a touchdown pass.
Whatever it takes to get in the end zone. I don't care. I don't care what you do. I really don't care what you do. Run the Philly special. Run a freaking jet sweep for all I care. Just get it in the end zone.
A 918 listener says, I'm so optimistic about a win that I will be sitting on the 50-yard line right next to Fexus fans. Let's freaking go.
I was hoping no one was going to say, I'll do something with a beefy 5-layer burrito if OU doesn't win this game. I think we've heard enough of that online here recently. Okay. Greg from Lawton says, it's well documented that we don't show nothing till Texas. The defense will have at least one game a year that they dominate and punish the opponents. This is that game. Boomer. Big Rich in OKC says, are we sure Ewers is playing?
Yes.
Sark sounded very optimistic that Ewers is going to play today. I have the direct quote here, and I'll read it to you. He said, quote, I thought he looked good coming off the bye. I think if anybody benefited from the time off, it was probably him. We're going to monitor him daily just to kind of see how he continues to progress. But I feel good about how he was today. I feel good about him going into Saturday, but that remains to be seen, end quotes. So he's not full-on saying he's 100%, he's our starter, but come on, Parker. Quinn Ewers is going to play, and Quinn Ewers is going to start.
Yeah, I fully expect that.
But if you get some early hits on that guy, we'll see what happens.
Yeah, no joke. As a 501 listener from the state of Arkansas mentioned, I'm with you, Tyler, and sprinkle in that Quinn likes to throw it to OU players.
3 turnovers last year, right?
3 turnovers. Yeah. What, pick, 2 fumbles? Or no, 2 picks and a fumble.
And those weren't like fraudulent turnovers or anything. Those weren't those were OU earning all 3 of those turnovers. Gentry Williams jumping a route, Peyton Bowen coming up with the big hit, and then of course the big hit over the middle on JT Sanders that caused the interception as well. But that's the type of defensive effort that you're going to need on Saturday for sure. So what would we say overall is the optimism level from the text line? Is it pretty mixed? We pretty high on the optimism on Monday of OU Texas?
It is pretty mixed. You got some folks that are optimistic. You got some folks that are apprehensive. You got some folks that are saying, we don't have a chance.
Dean Choctaw says, not loving our chances. You think they'll fall for the fake play script again? One way to find out, right? It worked back in 1999.
Slick Sooner is apparently childhood buddies with Press Taylor. He says the guy that wrote up the Philly special for Philly in that win is from Norman.
Yep.
Buddy of mine from high school in my QB junior year. He's now the OC at the Jags. They call it the Philly special, but the first team to run that play might very well have been Oklahoma because if you recall, they ran something strikingly similar a month earlier in the Rose Bowl. And, of course, we all remember it merely as the play that preceded the squib kick, Tyler. But the Philly special might as well be called the Sooner special.
405 Texas 34, OU 21. Offense needs to prove it to me. 405 Taylor says Tyler cargo shorts and Croc sales went down in Columbia on Saturday. It's great. I just love it. Keep them coming. 405-651-3439 on the Knippelmeyer Chevrolet text line. A lot of recruiting to get to, a lot of college football to get to, and it's OU Texas week. We'll be talking about it all week long right here on The Ref, brought to you by Boyd Street Ventures. More to come next right here on The Ref.
Beat Texas Week on The Ref is brought to you by Boyd Street Ventures. Visit BoydStreetVentures.com to see how Boyd Street Ventures is bringing OU innovation to the world. Boyd Street Ventures, under the radar, above the crowd.
Riverwind is the Metro's best casino experience.
We've got almost 3,000 of your favorite games.
And the Showplace Theater at Riverwind is the hottest spot for live music.
Don't miss out on our Spooky Spin Spectacular giveaway.
Play with your wild card to win your share of $80,000.
No tricks, just treats, big wins, and good times. only at Riverwind.
Did you know there's a place where you can get good neighbor service and surprisingly great rates on home and auto insurance? Yep, and that place is, ta-da, State Farm. Here's the deal. State Farm agent Cindy Nasher is your go-to agent in Norman for the service you deserve at the price you want. So stop shopping around. State Farm agent Cindy Nasher has you covered. Call 405-307-0500 for surprisingly great rates today. Like a good neighbor, State Farm is there. Individual premiums will vary by customer. All applicants subject to State Farm underwriting requirements.
How about this? We're hanging out with the winningest coach in OU football history, Bob Stoops, Mondays on the T-Row in the Morning Show. It's the Stoops Review with the HBC on the T-Row Show, Mondays from 7:45 to 8:30 with limited commercial interruption. Every Monday, we'll be looking back at Saturday's OU game with a guy who knows what he's looking at. Bob Stoops, the Visor, the HBC on our show every Monday. Check it out.
Hi, I'm Luke Settle, leading a team of dedicated insurance professionals alongside experienced pharmacists here at Sooner Pharmacy in Norman, Oklahoma. Medicare doesn't have to be confusing. We combine pharmaceutical expertise with insurance knowledge to help you navigate the options, find the right fit, and make informed decisions about your health and financial security. Visit makeahealthplan.com or call 405-217-0711. Plan Insurance, your trusted Medicare partner.
My mother was always very active and independent, and she was familiar with her neighborhood. But one day, she stopped at the stop sign for much longer than usual. She wasn't even really sure where she was at.
It's important for you to talk to someone about it. I felt so much better after my son told me, Mom, we'll figure it out.
When something feels different, it could be Alzheimer's. Now is the time to talk. Visit alz.org/ourstories to learn more. A message from the Alzheimer's Association and the Ad Council.
Hey Sooners, I'm OU alum and Board Street Ventures founder James Spann. The Sooners season is underway, which means it's time for the Boyd Street Ventures Under the Radar Player of the Game. It's time for you to consider investing in BSV. Our portfolio has 16 innovative, under-the-radar, Oklahoma-connected companies. If you want in, the sooner the better, as our fund closes December 31st. Check out our portfolio at BoydStreetVentures.com. Boyd Street Ventures, under the radar, above the crowd.
Did the recent storms damage your home and roof? Call All-American Roofing today. All-American Roofing has been repairing and replacing roofs for over 40 years and is a second-generation locally owned roofing company. They are also a Google guaranteed contractor and offer free inspections. Our roofers are GAF Master Elite contractors with a BBB A+ rating. Call All-American Roofing today at 405-787-0400. All-American Roofing, the best roofing company in Oklahoma. 405-787-0400.
If you love them enough to listen to them practice the same song on tuba,
Please be done.
over and over and over and over and over, then surely you'll check NHTSA.gov/the right seat to make sure they're correctly buckled in the back seat.
Sounds good, honey.
Check today at NHTSA.gov/the right seat. Brought to you by the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration and the Ad Council.
Locked in with McComas and Thune, live on the ref. We're the home of Sooner fans. 405-651-3439 is the Knippelmeyer Chevrolet text line. You saw OU commits, running back commits, Jonathan Hatton this weekend. What'd you think? How'd he look?
He looked great. He got rolled up on. There was a defender that landed on his ankle in the fourth quarter of that football game. He hobbled off. He didn't play the remainder of the game. Talked to him afterwards. He was like, man, it's at least an 8 on the pain scale of 1 to 10. So well, one would hope that he is good to go by the time the postseason rolls around for his Cibolo Steel squad. But obviously you'd expect that would affect his availability the next week or two at minimum, depending on the specific diagnosis. But, man, that kid is devoted. He's been committed to Oklahoma for over a year now and has had big-time programs continuing to offer him and pursue him and stay in regular contact with him. Ohio State, Michigan, etc. And yet he's never visited anywhere else, Tyler. He said he's got a couple more OU visits lined up before the end of the season. And for the moment, he's completely locked in. By the way, prior to rolling his ankle, in the fourth quarter. He did rush for darn near 200 yards and 3 touchdowns. So
That'll
there's
do.
that. Yep.
I'm just waiting for the text, though, for someone to say, geez, even our commits are getting hurt now? God, everyone's getting injured these days. Even our commits in 2026 are getting injured. But, yeah, nice to hear that Jonathan Hatton had a really good night. I've seen a few of your commits this past weekend. We can get into more of that had really good games throughout the weekend. Andrew Babalola, we've got not a new prediction, but Rivals is like, hey, here's just kind of some predictions for uncommitted players in the 2025 class. Here's what Rivals has to say about the 4-star offensive lineman from Overland Park, Kansas. He is the highest-ranked Midwest prospect that is uncommitted. He initially wanted to be committed back in June, but has had a hard time nailing down where he wants to go. He took summer OVs to Auburn, Missouri, Stanford, Michigan, and Oklahoma. Every program came away from his official feeling very good about its chances with him. Stanford has been a family favorite because of its academic reputation, but in the end, the combination of academics and high-level football at Michigan may be too hard to pass up. So everyone's just kind of like waiting, like, all right, when's he going to commit? When's he going to commit? When's he going to commit? But everyone's still like, it's probably going to be Michigan, though, when it happens. It'll probably be Michigan for Babalola. But it is fascinating that he's waited so long to commit, man.
Yeah, I don't think it's as simple as, it's a matter of when, not if, he commits to Michigan. OU's in that thing. I mean, all 5 schools are still in it to some degree, but I think it's down to Michigan and Oklahoma, and it's been that way for a couple of months per everything that I've been told. And the fact that there hasn't been a decision yet, Tyler, again, would suggest that Oklahoma's at least given him something to think about. Now, I don't know how much that means. He may very well pick Michigan anyway in the end. But Bill Bedenbaugh and Oklahoma have fought the good fight in this one, and they will continue to, because if they can add that guy to their 2025 haul, especially with the instability that exists on the offensive line right now for Oklahoma, there's nothing that this fan base wants to see more than an embarrassment of riches in the 2025 class for Bill Bedenbaugh. And getting Babalola means that you would officially have an embarrassment of riches.
It's early in the week, so it may be hard to, nail down everything that's going to happen on Saturday, but do we have an idea of, if not names on the visitor list for Saturday, just how many names are we talking about for Saturday at the Cotton Bowl?
There will be many. Look, internally there's a list of guys that they expect to be at the game on Saturday, but there's a lot that doesn't get finalized until later in the week. And so I would say Wednesday or Thursday, you'll have a pretty clear idea of who's going to make it, who's not going to make it. Again, we'll have all that covered at ouinsider.com as visitors are confirmed for this game, not just rumored, but confirmed. We will go ahead and update members accordingly at ouinsider.com, which if you aren't a member over there, always a great time to jump on board because the information is flowing.
Any stops that you thought were interesting from the coaching staff this weekend? I know Emmett Jones and Todd Bates were out in the state of California, out on the West Coast at one point this weekend, but any of the stops that happened tell us anything about 25 or 26 that we didn't already know?
Yeah, well, Bill Bedenbaugh was at Mansfield Lake Ridge on Thursday, checking in with 4-star 2026 offensive tackle Felix Ojo. That's a high-priority guy for Oklahoma. Should be a high-priority guy for Oklahoma. He's going to be, at minimum, a top 100 player in the nation. And I would say he's got a very, very good chance to be top 50. He could verge on 5-star status. He's everything you look for in a high-end offensive tackle. Bill Bedenbaugh checked in with him. DeMarco Murray saw Torrey Blaylock, who had an outstanding game Friday night. He also stopped by Jenks to see Caden Jones. And so, I give Todd Bates credit because he managed to kill 2 birds with one stone. He was out there in Cali, and he got to see Tomohini Topui from Mater Dei, and he got to see Joseph Terry, 2026 defensive line offer from Rancho Santa Margarita, as they played each other this past weekend. So Emmett got to see his Cali commit, Marcus Harris, and Todd Bates got to see 2 of his 2026 commits in one fell swoop. Save some money on the travel expenses there.
Yeah, what a company man. A company man right there trying to save on travel expenses. There is a fascinating story out right now on OU's 2026 quarterback commit, Jaden O'Neal out of Harbor City, California. They have 4 opponents left this season, and all 4 opponents are forfeiting the game, canceling the game against Jaden O'Neal's high school because of, safety concerns?
improper recruiting tactics.
Ah.
I think if that wasn't the exact terminology used, that's what it amounts to. These coaches and these programs believe that Narbonne High School has been recruiting players for the last several years to build an all-star team, in essence, which, look, it happens. It happens in every single state. Kids get recruited to certain high schools, and certain high schools build programs full of superstars. And I don't really know how you rein that in.
But for four different schools to be like, yep, sorry, we're forfeiting this game, I guess, like, geez. Those 4 high schools must have all come together and say, all right, we're not going to stand for this anymore. We're not going to play this football game.
Yeah.
Man.
And again, it's something that happens. It's the nature of the beast in 2024. And I'm glad I'm not in charge of figuring out how you rein that in, but it very obviously needs to be reined in.
Well, I don't really know what this means for them moving forward. I guess they get 4 wins and they'll still play in the postseason, but it may be a while until we see OU's 2026 quarterback play, unless they can magically schedule someone for that week. I don't really know how that works in California.
While we're on the topic of controversy,
geez, people are really coming after teams in Oklahoma for doing the same there. Man,
I knew they would. But while we're on the topic of controversy, and speaking of California, was I the only one that in the aftermath of the Cal-Miami game was thinking, okay, the ACC is shamelessly doing anything and everything to make sure Miami stays undefeated?
You know, I didn't get to see the end of that game until the next day, but
Same.
Yeah. The ACC knows, like, hey, if we're going to make the playoff this year, Miami's our best bet to make the playoff, and well, I mean, they're going to make the playoff regardless, but to have a real chance to advance in the playoff this year, Miami's probably their best chance. And
well, look, I'm not
hooking them up.
I'm generally not a conspiracy theory guy, and I don't think this is a conspiracy theory, to be quite frank with you. But at what point does it become justifiable to start questioning the integrity of officiating? Because what the leaders in college athletics have shown us over the last 5 years is that it is no longer about anything but the almighty dollar. And so if the Atlantic Coast Conference's lone hope for representation in the college football playoff is the Miami Hurricanes, and yeah, they get an auto bid, but you get what I'm saying. Like, they got to have a team that they can prop up. And if their lone hope in that regard is Miami, and it is in their best financial interest for Miami to stay undefeated and remain a top-flight contender for the college football playoff and the national title, then, again, if it's all about the almighty dollar, why wouldn't they fudge the officiating?
And it's just another middle finger to Florida State, too, if Miami's in there playing really well. Poor Florida State. What a tough season it's been for them. Glenn from Nashville says, gentlemen, I've been out of pocket a little bit the past week or so. What does our injury list look like for Saturday's game? I'm not talking about the ones that we know are out for the season, but I'm talking about guys like Burks, McCullough, Tatum, Gentry, Williams. What is their availability, or do we know?
Yeah, well, good chance. Very good chance you get both McCullough and Tatum back this weekend against Texas. I expect that both of those guys will be back. Deion Burks, I am not optimistic about his odds to play this weekend, and we'll see if, like, I know Brent Venables has his coach's show tonight. I know he's got his press conference tomorrow morning. I would imagine he will give an update on Deion Burks, but I am not terribly optimistic that he is available this weekend. We'll see moving forward. I don't think Gentry Williams will play again in 2024.
Here's how I would rank those in terms of most likely to play on Saturday. McCullough 1, since he put out the smiling face emoji last week. Tatum 2, and then a nice little gap between them, and then go Deion Burks, and then a gap after Deion Burks, and then Gentry Williams at number 4. How I would rank those 1 through 4. But, yeah, I think that you're going to get McCullough back, which he played awesome in this game last year, man. He's a big athletic body that can do some things against the run. You can definitely use a Deshaun McCullough in this game, in my opinion. And, of course, Taylor Tatum. Like, that's a big deal. Like, I tend to talk about Burks a little bit more. Like, this offense needs Deion Burks back. But they need another running back outside of Javonte Barnes, especially in this game, right? Tatum's going to go into this game as at least your number 2 back. And I'm hoping, praying, please run out on the perimeter more. Please don't run into a pile for 1 to 2 yards every single time you want to run it. Let's get a little creative here. And if they can actually get creative, then I like what Taylor Tatum can bring to the table for you in the run game.
Creativity is what's going to have to win you this football game, Tyler. Or maybe not. Maybe that alone isn't what's going to win you the football game. But you have no choice. You're going to have to be creative offensively because if you're predictable, that's just not going to fly. You're already the underdog. And you are already, at least on paper, outmanned. So you have to get creative. You have to be willing to break the mold. You have to be willing to pull out all the stops and delve deep into the bag of tricks and whatever phraseology you want to use there. You've got to be ready and willing to do some things that you frankly haven't done all season offensively.
Alex from Manford says, Tennessee fans, we got an amazing quarterback that makes great decisions. Nico, game on the line, 6 seconds left. Running out of bounds should win us this game. Yeah, I was flabbergasted at that decision there from Nico because he does seem like a very bright young quarterback. I don't know if Josh Heupel is scared to take the training wheels off for him offensively. It looks very conservative, but the fact that he didn't at least give a receiver a chance on that play, that surprised me. That surprised me quite a bit. I didn't see this. Maybe you did. But Plank was telling me about 10 to 15 minutes before the show was starting today, and I didn't have Find to go in and find the audio clip. But he was telling me that Sam Pittman gave credit to Brent Venables and OU for kind of showing the blueprint defensively of what to do against Tennessee. I don't know if you had seen that or heard about that or not, but Sam Pittman, our Friday at 5 buddy, I guess, was giving a tip of the cap to Brent and OU saying, hey, thanks for the blueprint. We used it and it worked out well.
Did you get any more cold beer sound bites out of Sam Pittman after that win?
You know what? We didn't, but I got a lot of tweets on Saturday. I got a lot of tweets after the Missouri game, and I got a lot of tweets after Sam Pittman got the win on Saturday.
Drew from Flower Mound asks, is Gentry going to get a medical red shirt? Yeah, he'll qualify for a medical red shirt, and I expect he'll take it. I mean, why wouldn't you?
Sooner Bump said, I would rather us throw a toss to Jaden Jackson than us run that inside zone run one more time. Hell, bring back the jet sweep more.
What I think is remarkable about Seth Littrell's first 6 games at the University of Oklahoma is that he has managed to completely replenish and revitalize the reputation of the jet sweep. And it's not because the jet sweep has just been an ungodly type of offensive weapon for Oklahoma as a play call in 2024. It's because the run game as a whole has been so stunningly ineffective. You watch Deion Burks go around left end for 9 yards on a jet sweep, and you're thinking, oh my gosh, positive yardage. Do that again.
South Texas Sooner says, take off the Homer goggles, and we would agree Woody Washington has underperformed this season. Given that he is a 5th or 6th year senior, why wouldn't we invest in some younger talent to get reps in the here and now?
And you're right, South Texas Sooner. He has underperformed. And look, I think that's in part due to the fact that he's been banged up, as Brent Venables has mentioned. But to me, as I said all last week, I think the cornerback that gives you the best chance to win on Saturday is Eli Bowen. I think Eli Bowen.
Yeah, he's a dude, man.
I don't know which corner spot you want to put him at, but he's got to be at one of them in my mind when the starting 11 take the field defensively for Oklahoma.
You talk about someone, too, that's not going to be intimidated by the moment or the situation. Like, Tennessee just thought, like, look at this guy. I just throw it to me short, throw it to me deep. And they found out in a couple of plays, like, oh, this kid's real right here. This kid's really good. So I think being a smaller corner, I think he has a bit of a chip on his shoulder because he's probably faced that. And I like that. I like that, especially for a young defensive back who opposing offenses think that they can just pick on him. He's like, all right, bring it.
And to be honest, when you're a young player, you just kind of have more of a chip on your shoulder naturally.
Yeah, sure.
If you recall the way that Woody Washington played in 2020 as a redshirt freshman in the Red River Showdown for Oklahoma, that was maybe the best game of Woody Washington's collegiate career. And he hadn't played cornerback in a year at that point. He'd been playing safety. And Oklahoma needed an answer at corner. They throw Woody in there. He comes up with what should have been a game-sealing interception. Makes several other phenomenal plays throughout the course of that football game. If you're Eli Bowen, and shoot, this isn't exclusive to Eli Bowen, but I think the reason why I get so excited about what Eli Bowen could potentially do against Texas on Saturday and his ability to eliminate some of the threats in the passing game for Texas is that, man, he just, and I mean this not in a dismissive way, not a negative way, he just doesn't know any better, you know?
Yeah.
Like he's too inexperienced to be intimidated by the moment. And that's also just not really how he's wired. You know, he's just out there playing ball.
Big Rich in OKC in all caps. Yes, put the water moccasin out there. 1-star Chunky Chuck in all caps. Eli Bowen over Can I Walk, please? And then 405, first-time texter says, the Miami replay booth officials must have come from the OU Oregon game in 2005. I think that's the year. 2006 was the year, but, yeah, Gordon Reese. Maybe he was in the replay official booth there on Saturday. All right, 405-651-3439, Knippelmeyer Chevrolet text line. More recruiting, more OU football. We'll do it next right here on The Ref.
A true Sooner fan wouldn't be caught dead without the KREF app. Join the Army. Get the app. Tell your friends. This is The Ref, where diehard Sooner fans listen.
When you're sick, you need to be seen by a health professional today, not next week. Norman Regional Urgent Care is here for you from 7 a.m. to 7 p.m. Open 7 days a week at Porter Health Village in Norman and Monday through Friday in Westmore and Goldsby. No appointment needed, just walk right in. Whether it's a sudden illness or a minor injury, Norman Regional Urgent Care is ready to get you back on your feet today, not next week.
Ever wonder why someone would go to the ends of the earth and leap into the unknown? Maybe a better question is, what are you waiting for? Pacifico is brewed for those who follow their own path. That's living life anchors up.
From the gridiron to the hardwood to the diamond, no one covers the Sooners like we do. If it's Sooner Sports, we have you covered 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, 365 days a year. This is the home of Sooner fans.
The Mont invites you to come by and enjoy our high-quality food and drinks in our historic atmosphere. The Mont has won numerous awards, including Best Restaurant in Norman, Best Appetizer for our great queso, Best Exotic Drink for the original swirl, the Best Patio Dining for our beautifully landscaped patio. Come see the Town Tavern OU football scoreboards dating back to 1947. We'll see you at the Mont on the corner of Boyd and Classen, or call us at 329-3330.
Coach Stoops here for Van Hoos Fence. If you want to work with the best local fence company and get championship service, contact my friend Mark and the Van Hoos Fence team. Van Hoos Fence gives each customer the most professional craftsmanship and competitive pricing in Oklahoma. From wood to chain link to vinyl to metal fences, the Van Hoos Fence team does it all. Contact the Fencing All-Americans at Van Hoos Fence, 405-735-1167 or vhfence.com.
Tired of your current living situation? Now is the best time to make a move. Interest rates are dropping and Home Creations is offering the best financing around with rates as low as 3.75%. This will save you hundreds per month on your brand new Home Creations home. Live like a champion today by calling Holly at 405-364-9999 for full details.
364-9999 means Home Creations.
APR 6.411%.
Smokey the Bear.
Then you know why Smokey tells you when he sees you passing through. Remember, please be careful, it's the least that you can do.
What you desire, don't play with matches, don't play with fire.
After 80 years of learning his wildfire prevention tips, Smokey Bear lives within us all. Learn more at SmokeyBear.com, and remember,
only you can prevent wildfires.
Brought to you by the USDA Forest Service, your state forester, and the Ad Council.
People are always looking to invest in a good opportunity. So what if you could invest in the future of kids, like a stock? Not the kind of stock that's about making money, but a stock for social change, called Better Futures. With your investment, It helps students like me go to college. My name is Charles, and I'm your dividend.
Invest in better futures with UNCF. Visit uncf.org/invest. A mind is a terrible thing to waste, but a wonderful thing to invest in. Brought to you by UNCF and the Ad Council.
Schumacher Law Group, when experience matters. Tracy Schumacher is a former prosecutor and former district judge. Whether it's a probate challenge, criminal charges, or contentious divorce proceedings, experience matters. The attorneys at Schumacher Law Group provide compassionate, knowledgeable advice, all while fighting for your best interests. Find Schumacher Law Group online at lawgroupok.com or call 405-701-1882. Hometown lawyers ready to fight for you when experience matters.
Football. You love it. We love it. You live it. We live it. You need it. We got it. Nobody covers college football better. The Rush.
Right here on the Ref Sports Radio Network.
Dorsey Jones Buick GMC in El Reno bringing this hour of Locked In with McComas and Thune. Dorsey Jones is family owned and operated, established in 2020, but many of their employees have been there for more than 20 years. They sell Buicks and GMCs, which are some of the best trucks and SUVs on the road. That's Dorsey Jones Buick GMC in El Reno. Hey, I know it's OU Texas week, and I know we're talking about OU football recruiting. I do have to give a shout-out, though, to Patty Gasso and the staff, what they are doing in the 2025 recruiting class. Check this out. No big deal. Kai Minor is the #1 overall player from Irvine, California. She's an outfielder. Where is she committed to? She's committed to the University of Oklahoma. Alyssa Parker from Pecola, Oklahoma is a 5-star, a pitcher, the #2 player nationally. Where is she committed? She's committed to the University of Oklahoma. Lexi McDaniel is the #3 player overall nationally from St. Joseph, Missouri. She's an infielder. Where is she committed to? She's committed to the University of Oklahoma. OU have the top 3 players in the 2025 class are all OU commits.
Somebody said it last week on the text line, and it's 100% true. Patty Gasso doesn't recruit, she chooses.
Yes, exactly. They are rolling in 2025. They are rolling in 2026. They just got the #3 overall player last week, a top 20 player on Friday, a pitcher from Edmond Memorial. The talent level ain't slowing down anytime soon with OU softball. Les in Hayes, Kansas says, last week Steely kept bringing up Mr. Magoo. If you don't know, B couldn't see, had inch-thick glasses. Well, there was a couple of replays that they were using Magoo glasses to miss those calls.
Something of an incoherent text, but I think I got the
point. We got around to, I think, what was trying to be said there, yeah. Lloyd says it won't matter who Texas starts at quarterback. We'll be in their backfield all day long. It's going to be Quinn Ewers who starts. Now, who finishes the game, I guess that could be a separate answer potentially, but
probably also Quinn Ewers.
Ewers is going to start that football game unless he gets hurt. Or he's going to finish the game, too, unless he gets hurt.
Maybe Ethan Downs will put him to sleep this time.
Boy, a game like that from Ethan Downs like last year would come in clutch, right?
That'd be nice.
R. Mason Thomas playing all 4 quarters like he likes to play 4th quarters in close games. That would also be great.
What's it going to be like? What will that day be like where R. Mason Thomas is 4th quarter R. Mason Thomas for all 4 quarters?
Julius Peppers? Is that what he's like?
He's going to have like 10 sacks.
Jeez, man. He, when they need a big stop defensively, it's like, all right, here comes R. Mason Thomas. He's not going to get just 1 sack on this drive. He might get a couple. He's going to be in the quarterback's lap the final 2 drives before we end this football game. Big recruiting news nationally. Jakeem Stewart reclassified. Does Rivals now have him as the #4 player in the 2025 class? I think I want to say. He reclassified from 26 to 25 is what he did.
I've seen him a few times on the camp circuit. Big dude. Interesting physical build. And I'm not really sure how to, describe that any better or elaborate on that any further, but he's an oddly built dude. Really good football player, but very oddly built. I'm not really sure what to think of him as a prospect.
Yeah, well, they did, Rivals did a reclassifying grade, like players who have reclassified it recently. Like, what's the grade on that decision? Devon Mitchell was included in this, and They give him a B- right now for his reclassification grade. Another recruit coveted and well known as a sophomore in high school, Devon Mitchell starred in the state of Texas before moving to California, which would be his senior season. OU landed him last summer, and he never looked back, enrolling in the spring. However, it may take some time for Mitchell to crack the rotation in what became a deep OU tight end room thanks to the transfer portal. He wasn't listed among the top 4 at his position ahead of the 2024 opener. We'll need to check in on Devon Mitchell, I'm sure, next year. But, yeah, sounds like he has a – and we saw that all the way back in the spring game, so I don't think that that's necessarily a surprise there.
Oh, yeah, and he wasn't on the travel squad for the Auburn game. I can't recall what how the rules have shifted now that OU and Texas are in the SEC as to how many they can travel for the Cotton Bowl, but Devon Mitchell might not even travel for that game depending on the number, and I don't know the number off the top of my head, but yeah, this is going to be a redshirt year for him. He's going to have a chance to contribute in 2025 and beyond. And for a guy that reclassified, skipped a year of high school, that's fine. That's fine.
Yeah. Caleb Burns, I guess he'll be heading to Oregon this weekend, correct, for that Oregon-Ohio State game. He'll be visiting OU for the South Carolina game, and then he's taken as official for the OU-Bama game. So we'll see what happens in Eugene. Still feels like OU is – I mean, he's still technically committed to Baylor.
Still technically committed to
Baylor,
Baylor,
it sure doesn't feel like it. Like now does it?
Odds are he will not be sticking with Baylor. Dave Aranda is going to have to pull a whole family of rabbits out of the hat in order to save his job at this point.
Yeah, I mean, seriously, dude. It's he's committed to Baylor, but I got to think OU feels really good about the situation they're in right now. For the 3-star linebacker that will soon be a 4-star linebacker, I would bet the next time Rivals does a rankings update in the 2025 class. Cody Allen says, R. Mason Thomas reminds me of Danny from The Replacements. I need that ball. Go get me that ball. Have you seen The Replacements before?
I have not watched The Replacements.
Oh, buddy.
No.
I don't know how you would feel about Danny. Danny's a little psychotic once he gets out on the field, but he will go get you the football if you need to go get it. All right, keep the text coming. 405-651-3439 is the Knippelmeyer Chevrolet text line. Drew from Flower Mound, I already read that one. Cherokee Sooner says, apparently on the way to Berkeley, the equipment truck blew through a red light at 80 miles per hour and got pulled over. However, after review, the ACC determined there was no violation committed and the driver was given a salary increase. I think Cherokee Sooner put that out on Twitter on Saturday, and I liked it. That was good.
That's a banger, Cherokee Sooner. Well done. Johnny H. asks, is Caden Helms ever going to play? He will. Maybe not a ton this year, and that's okay because as things stand, he's got all 4 years of eligibility. This will be the first year in which he has to actually use any eligibility because he redshirted as a true freshman in 2022, got a medical waiver last year. He's still got plenty of football ahead of him. He's not somebody that you need to rush. Certainly not somebody as a fan that you ought to give up on because you haven't seen him on the field a whole heck of a lot through 2.5 years at Oklahoma. But, I mean, right now he's, 4th on that depth chart at tight end. So, it's what it is.
Christie says, I think OU beats Texas. But I think that means OU loses to South Carolina the following week at home. Letdowns after big games are a real thing. Just ask Bama. So it was me, Travis, and Grayson on the postgame show after the Auburn game. And in between me trying to catch my breath after I ran a mile from Jordan-Hare to all the way to the tailgate that we had set up and all that, I said, it wasn't pretty, but I'm never going to complain about a road win in the SEC. I'm a newbie to this league, but I still know enough to know, Cheese Parker, I was just saying Travis's name, that I don't think you ever complain about a road win in the SEC. And this weekend showed us that, right? It's
Alabama would have loved a road win in the SEC.
Missouri would have loved to play within 3 touchdowns on a road win in the SEC. It's hard to do it in this league, man.
Yeah,
so whatever it looks like, I think you take it.
And the point that I'll continue to hammer home throughout this season, because it cannot be said enough, is that style points do not matter anymore. And this is going to be a tough thing for a lot of OU fans to reckon with because they're accustomed for years and years now, a decade at least, they're accustomed to needing style points in victories. Not only beating Baylor and Texas Tech and Iowa State, but beating them by 20 and 30 points because in the 14 playoff era, it mattered not just that you won games, but it mattered how you won games. Now you're in a 12-team playoff era, and you're a member institution of the Southeastern Conference. Style points could not matter any less. All that matters is that you find a way to win football games.
It wasn't the biggest upset that we've seen in the past decade in terms of like a point spread, but come on, man. Vanderbilt just beat number 1 Alabama.
Yeah.
And they didn't just beat number 1 Alabama. They led the entire game, essentially. That's the biggest upset in college football since when? Just the thought, like saying out loud that Vanderbilt beat Alabama.
Gosh. Biggest upset in college football since...
Now, the national media will have you believe since last year of OU Texas. Like, how? Oh, my God. How did OU beat that Texas team? They just stole one at the end. But just saying out loud that Vanderbilt beat number 1 Alabama, it feels like it's been a long time. Like, there's been a lot of great upsets in this sport, but, man, that one's pretty – that's at the top of the list over the course of the past decade.
Maybe like South Carolina over Georgia in 2018 when
in
Rodrigo
Athens,
Blankenship shanked 3 field goals. Where was that at the Rose Bowl, by the way?
Jeez, no kidding, right? That would have helped out, especially right before half. Stinkin' Lincoln says, can we please ask more professional questions, please?
That's actually Brad from the 405. He decided to adopt the moniker Stinkin' Lincoln for one text.
Reform Sooner, that's a good one. Northern Illinois over Notre Dame this year. Brian in the 918, Stanford beating USC. I remember it was that was OU Texas weekend.
2009?
I thought it was 07 maybe because I think DeMarco just hurdled and scored a touchdown, and then we were kind of out and about for Saturday night OU Texas after OU won. I think that happened that night. Stanford beating USC back, and I think that was 07. Brian in the 918. That one was pretty good too. Appalachian State over Michigan is a big one, says J-Dub and several other texters.
And to the listener that said Northern Illinois over Notre Dame, that upset would probably loom a lot larger if Notre Dame hadn't lost at home to Marshall 2 years ago. You know, like Notre Dame has a clunker every now and again. It's just kind of what you've come to expect.
Appalachian over Michigan in 2007. Yeah, I believe that was the opening week 1. Crazy Saturday. But it's always the quiet ones, right? How many times did you hear that this weekend? Crazy weekend. You didn't think it was. You didn't think it was going to be. But it's always the quiet ones.
Purdue over Ohio State. That's a good one.
They hammered Ohio State.
They didn't just beat Ohio State. They pounded Ohio State.
All right. Fun hour. We'll do it for 3 more hours coming up next on The Rush.